Destry Hunt. I'm here with Sheriff Frazee, conducting um, an interview at 2:07 March 23rd. So I know your time is short because you have to be in court at 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump right into the questions if that's okay.
Yeah.
So you said you would not be enforcing mask mandates, yet you arrested Tina Estrada for wearing a mask in court. How do you explain that?
2 points. I didn't know. She was not arrested by a deputy sheriff. And it was not because of a mask.
Okay. So how will voters know when to believe you, when to believe what you say going forward?
Well, I haven't changed.
So
What's different?
What they will contend, and what they contend on social media, was that you stated to Mr. Freeman that you were arresting her for not wearing a mask.
Correct.
So you had told Freeman.
That comment was made to Freeman. See what I'm looking for the right word. I'll have to come up with that right word. I don't remember what it is. She was not. That is an incorrect statement. I was doing it just because Freeman was bugging me and pushing and telling me, "You arrested her for a mass arrest?" Yeah, I did. It was just being kind of facetious.
Okay.
That is not what she was arrested for.
Okay. So she was arrested for, what was she arrested for then?
She was arrested for contempt of court.
Okay. And
by the judge.
By the judge, okay.
No deputies arrested her. The judge arrested her. The judge asked us to transport her.
So, how did the judge arrest her?
He said the judge told her, "You are in contempt of court. I'm going to sentence you to 1 day." Told the officer to take her back, transport her out.
Okay. Okay. So when the officer said, because they said that the officer said you're under arrest whenever she was in there.
It could be.
Okay.
I don't know that for a fact, but it could be. If the judge has her in order for contempt of court, we didn't do any paperwork. We didn't do a criminal complaint. There was no law, statute, or ordinance violated. So we have no authority to arrest her on any of those charges. She didn't violate any rules, any laws or ordinances. The judge has the ultimate authority in a courtroom to maintain a courtroom. And the judge decided that she was disruptive, causing a problem. She continued to do that. He issued a warrant for her, not a warrant, but a contempt arrest paper, I don't know what they call it, and asked us to transport her to jail, gave her 1 day.
So do you know how she was being disruptive?
I was not in there at the time. I was in there for half of it. First part, no. Second part, yes, because he brought her back in before her again. He brought her in before him again, I think trying to see if she would then behave herself.
He brought her before?
He brought her back in. After he had sent her out with the deputy, then she's sitting out there for a while, and I'm out there with her visiting and talking, seeing what I can do to help. Then the judge calls her back in. When the judge called her back in, I went in also. And she was not being, in my opinion, defiant at that time. She was being argumentative. The judge's decision was she was in contempt of court. He's the one put out the charge for her. He's the one that's going to be doing the paperwork. It's not a law violation. We don't get involved in that. But if he tells us this person has violated whatever, and we want them taken into custody, then that is a legal obligation, and we're forced to follow that.
Okay. But you don't know how she was being disruptive.
I've heard, but I can't tell you firsthand.
Okay. And was it a sheriff's deputy who physically arrested her?
When you're going to have to split hairs on the word of arrest.
Who took her into custody?
Yes.
So
The judge is the one that said you are under arrest.
he said that?
Well, I'm not sure if he uttered those words, but by issuing her the contempt paper and ordering us to take her into custody, that was from him.
Okay.
We're obligated to follow the judge's orders of the court.
Okay. So, do you know when he told her that? Was it in court, or when did he tell her she was under arrest?
And again, I wasn't there, but that was the first time when she was doing the deed. I don't know that he uttered those words. He may not. There's probably some cameras going off that we could IPRA, and we can find out. But the mere fact that he says you're in violation of contempt of court, and tells the deputy take her into custody, we're taking direction from the judge.
Okay. So, and I know this is a hypothetical, and I'm still trying to understand how how the contempt charge works, because this is new, and I understand that initially the judge wanted to trespass her.
I've heard that, and like I said, I wasn't there, but from what I understand is the judge is relatively new on the bench. He might have been a little confused, I'm not sure. But initially he had told her to leave, and she refused to leave. Now, I'll get the statute out and show you trespass if you want me to. And it says that if there is a person in a place and she's asked to leave and doesn't leave, him or her, then it's a violation of the
Sorry.
I mean, not a violation of the rights. It's trespassing.
Okay.
If they, for example, if you're in here and you're causing a big problem and I say, get out, you have to get out of here. And you don't get out, I've told you to get out, I've got custody and control of the area, and you don't get out, I have a right to then arrest you for trespass because you're not leaving when I told you to get out.
So when he told her initially, when he ejected her from the courtroom, did he initially say that she was in contempt of court, or that she was trespassing? Do you know?
Initially, trespassing.
So he ejected her under trespassing, and then she was outside, correct? And
you're asking me questions I don't know because I wasn't there.
okay.
I don't know. From what I gather from the deputies and speaking with the one that was involved, he said to me that the judge asked her to leave and she refused. She refused to put on a mask, and then she refused to leave, and arguing with the judge. And the judge said, well, then I'm going to charge you with trespass. It's up to the judge, right?
Okay.
And then he went into his chambers and did some phone calls or whatever he was doing.
Do you know who he called?
Oh, I have no idea. And then came back, and I believe Lieutenant Ballard had a conversation with him and mentioned something about maybe trespass is the wrong statute. You might not be wanting to use that one. Mm-hmm. Sometime after that, then he comes back and he says, well, then it's contempt of court, direct contempt of court.
So they had to figure out how how to charge her for.
Correct.
Okay. But if trespassing would have been a possibility, the judge would have charged her with trespassing instead of contempt of court.
Correct.
Okay. And so you mentioned that the judge, he's a little green and trying to figure this out, and that makes sense if he's trying to figure out how to charge the person if it's trespassing or if it's a contempt of court. And the question that's on everybody's mind, and I brought this up on social media, is okay. So if this can happen with masking, what then with, because this is we're just following orders, because that's really what the conversation is about, is we're just following orders. And so then what happens in the event of red flag laws when the court issues an order saying, okay, this person, according to the red flag law, should have their firearms taken from them? Will you follow that order that comes from the court?
If the court has issued an order and a directive, we have to follow it.
So yes, you will.
Yes.
You will follow the red flag law.
We'll follow whatever law, whatever order the court issues. We're obligated to follow it.
So this county was one of the counties that was designated as a Second Amendment sanctuary county,
Yes.
where the previous sheriff had said he would not enforce red flag laws because he felt like the Constitution was above the red flag law, that it trumped the red flag law. So this was a sanctuary county, and the commission, I believe, passed a resolution to that effect. So are you saying that the county now is not following that resolution?
I don't know what the county is doing. I'm following the judge's orders.
So I mean,
any order from the judge has to be followed.
I guess I mean, so you are no longer under your watch. This is no longer a sanctuary, Second Amendment sanctuary county.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Second Amendment sanctuary county means that the sheriff will refuse red flag orders, but you're saying you will follow red flag orders?
You think about it for a minute. Red flag orders are there for what reason? To keep people from being murdered and killed and whatever. So you have to assess everything involved. Now, I have not taken any, and I haven't seen any. And when they come, I'll have to take them on a case-by-case basis. But I can tell you that if we don't follow the red flag law and somebody ends up being murdered, then there's a huge liability on the sheriff's department. Because we were told to do it, we were informed, notified, and we failed to act. And as a result, somebody's dead. So there's something that you've got to consider also. And if we can go to, hypothetical, we go to the house and it's wacky neighbor over here and there's no evidence to indicate whatever that is going on. The man's storing them, he's got them safe and he's following the laws and all that. I may then look at the whole totality of the circumstances and I'll make a decision at that time. I may take it, I may not take it. It depends.
So you may follow the order or you may not.
I'll look at the situation. I don't blindly follow the orders. If I see a violation of law, we're going to act on it. Give you an example. If someone has a sawed-off shotgun and it's illegal to possess it, and we know that it is there, we're going to take the gun.
So you would go into the residence, and I'm trying to remember, a red flag law doesn't necessarily mean that there's a warrant. So there's not probable cause, correct?
Correct.
So you're saying that you would go in without a warrant to look at the person's firearms?
No, never go in without a warrant.
So you just go in under the red flag law, though, right?
No.
How would you know if the person had a sawed-off shotgun?
Well, there could a number of ways that could come to our attention. Somebody might tell us. It might be maybe someone in the household is angry with him and says, "Hey, he's got this gun over there," or whatever it is. We'll get a warrant. We'll go in and we'll get the gun. That's the way we work our laws.
So you can get a warrant just because somebody says that their neighbor has a sawed-off shotgun?
It can happen. Yeah.
That's enough for a warrant?
Yeah.
For probable cause?
Yeah. Well, it's up to the judge. We'll put it together and we'll submit it to the judge. The judge will then determine if probable cause exists. If he believes there is and signs the warrant, then we're going in to get it.
And the judge would be one of these judges that like the district court judge in that case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So just to clarify, because we had quite a discussion, I just want to make sure that I don't misquote you and that I understand this clearly. So if a red flag order is issued, you may follow it?
I won't blindly follow that order. I will investigate before I do anything. And if I believe that if it's genuine and there's really a reason for concern, and we need to remove that gun because there's a man in the house who is really crazy and he's already been shooting up the house and whatever the case is, of course we're going to take the gun.
So under a red flag law, there's usually, because if there was those other things happening, there would be, they wouldn't need a red flag law because if you're shooting up the house, and I'm saying for under the red flag law, somebody has not. They have not committed any crime. They might not even know that somebody has gone to the court to make this allegation. It could be an ex-spouse. It could be somebody who didn't like what they posted on social media. It could be a completely false allegation, and so the court then it could be a number of things, but the court then issues this red flag order, and so there is no other reason why you would approach this gun owner. So knowing that, because that's the situation we're talking about with the red flag law, and that's what people are wondering about. So then you go to the house. What happens?
Well, given that scenario, I wouldn't even go to the house.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't even act on it.
So is it clear for your deputies, because you've got to go home sometime and sleep, and some of these things will happen when you're not on your watch. Is there a clear instruction that your deputies are following as far as these types of situations?
They will. I'm not sure, to be quite honest, if each one and everyone knows, but the sergeants know, and the sergeants will be informed at that time. And if it's necessary, then they'll bump it up to either the undersheriff or myself or a lieutenant.
Okay.
So we have safeguards. I've always been a proponent, always, and I still am, that the gun is an inanimate object, and the gun's not going to hurt you. It's the man that's behind the gun that's pulling the trigger. That's who hurts you. And I would suggest that if we have a case where we believe there's like a red flag situation, and if it's becoming a problem, we'll take the person away to be evaluated, get with the district attorney, we'll get a commitment order, whatever we need to do, take the person away from the gun, rather than to take the gun away, because when you take the gun away, you leave the family defenseless. And they need to have a weapon to protect themselves. So, I'm not going to blindly go in and follow all the red flag laws. If there's something there that potentially really dangerous, then we may act on that.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to try to hurry and wrap this up because I know you're going to need time to travel to court. If this happened again, at the court with the mask, is there anything you would do differently?
I don't believe I would.
So if he said, okay, well, this person is in contempt, then they would do it again, and the person would expect to be transported to jail.
Yes.
Okay.
If the judge issues a contempt warrant, we are legally obligated to follow up on that.
So if the judge issues a contempt, because let's just say hypothetically, right?
Okay.
Because the person glared at the judge in a way that the judge felt was threatening, and the judge issued a contempt order.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys transport?
Yes.
So there's really no limits. As long as there's a contempt order, you guys will follow orders.
The judge is the one that makes the arrest. We transport.
Okay. So, now this is just a how you feel, and this is and I understand that this is just your opinion, and so it's just something to think about, but it's something that people are talking about, so you have the opportunity to weigh in. The issue with the masks at the courts is that it impacts the juries, because those who prefer not to wear a mask, they tend to not be on the juries because they express that they don't want to wear a mask, and they get excused from jury duty, etc. So then you have juries who are disproportionately those who will do whatever somebody tells them to do without question. You know, one would argue that they use less, that they will challenge the narrative less. So if somebody says that this is how it is, they might be less likely to challenge that and think differently.
I can see where
That's the case that some people make, and so that's who is the people ending up on juries. Therefore, they tend to be of a certain group of people, and some are calling that jury tampering by the state. That the state is stacking juries, and that is affecting the justice, and that we are a party to it. How do you feel about that? Do you feel do you feel like that is moving us closer to tyranny? And do you feel like that changes your mind at all about whether to challenge any of these contempt orders or other orders connected to masks?
I do. It is a concern, and I do think in fact, I never even thought about that. But that just piqued my interest when you said it. I can see them where the jury would be one-sided, and that's definitely what we don't need in the judicial system. So I can see that being a problem. That needs to be looked at. However, it's my understanding at the end of the month, the whole state's going to do away with the masks, everything, and it'll all be gone. So that may be a moot point anyway. I don't like the fact that the country is moving to the left. I'm not of that persuasion. And if I see where there's going to be issues and problems like that, I will say one thing that I think you asked if I would do something different. I think the next time I will have a direct conversation with the judge myself and just say, are you sure, and point out a few more pointers to make sure the judge knows what he's doing, and try a little harder. My lieutenant did that. I should have. So next time, I think if there's a contempt issue similar to this, I'll have a request to meet with the judge in chambers and see if we can't, mitigate. But at the end of the day, if the judge says it's contempt, he's making the charges, and I've got to follow the orders and take her down.
Last question, then we'll get you out of here.
Okay.
So I read the order before coming over here from the Supreme Court. I wanted to brush up on it. And it did seem to say, I mean, it was a little bit confusing, but it did seem to say that for the public, they're just required to wear the mask in jury deliberation rooms, in the courtroom, etc. But the employees of the court are required to wear masks even in the employee areas, employees and officers. And I noticed in the live stream of Mr. Freeman that there were employees behind the glass who were not wearing masks. And I wonder why they are permitted to do that, but the public is not, because the perception that's growing, and this is what's really upsetting people, is that you've heard the phrase rules for thee and not for me.
Exactly.
That they feel like, we are being treated like we are the serfs, and these government officials and employees treat us like they are our overlords, as they say, and that is really causing some discontent. When you have a discussion with the judge, do you think it would be important to talk to him about this perception of the public and this? They are really, really angry with him. The public is, they are very angry with him. I would say it's difficult to know if they were more angry with you or with him. And to your credit, you're making yourself accessible to questions, and I think that some people could. People who might otherwise be very upset might decide, okay, well, at least I know I can talk with them, and this is interesting that he's giving these other bits of his perspective, but they're not getting that from the judge. And so on top of that, you've got judges, employees obeying different rules. Is this something that you think would be valuable to discuss with him? Do you think he would benefit from addressing any of these questions?
I think it would be.
Would you commit to talking to him and finding out if he would be open to this kind of a conversation?
I will ask him.
Okay.
I'm going to meet him at 3:00.
Okay. Well, hopefully you feel like this has been fair, and I know it's a tough interview, but you get to state your.
You've always been fair and civil, and I appreciate that.
Well, any parting words so that you can have the last word?
Yeah, I would like to say this, that people, I've been asked quite a bit this morning about, am I really a constitutional sheriff? And the point is, yeah, I don't believe in the masks, never have. I've never been jabbed, I'm not going to get jabbed. Will I stand up for your rights? Absolutely, I'll stand up for your rights, but I also have to follow the law. To a degree. I would never put you on the train and take you for you to go to the gas chamber. That would never happen. But in a situation where it's clear there's a violation of the law, the judge has made the determination, and he is the one that decided that she needed to go to jail, and orders us to transport. That's our job. We don't have any other way. If I didn't do that, and he would have me in handcuffs, and I'd be transported to jail. So, at some point you've got to say, okay, well, we can go so far, and then you're going to have to stop.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I'm going to stop the recording.